Imagine this. In the past year alone, over 350 million people worldwide faced unexpected power outages. Just last month, a single storm left 2.8 million Americans in complete darkness, some for up to 5 days. These aren't just numbers, they're wake-up calls. And here's the shocking truth. 67% of households admit they're completely unprepared for an extended power outage. That's 2 out of every 3 families who could find themselves in serious trouble. However, you are determined not to fall into that category, not after today. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you the 12 absolute must-have items that could differentiate between a minor inconvenience and a full-blown emergency. These aren't just random suggestions. They're based on real experiences from survivors of major outages and recommendations from emergency response experts. Why should you trust this list? Because it's not just theory. Recent disasters, such as the Texas grid failure and the record-breaking storm outages in Europe, have proven the criticality of each item. And the best part? You probably already have most of these items in your house. You just need to organize and prepare them. But before we dive in, here's a statistic that might surprise you. Power outages have increased by 64% in the last decade alone. Climate experts predict this trend will only accelerate. The question isn't if you'll face a major outage, it's when. So grab a pen, because these 12 items could literally save your family when the lights go out. Number 12. Emergency lighting solutions. Let's start with something obvious but crucial. Emergency lighting. However, don't simply grab your old flashlight from your drawer and forget about it for the day. Here's why. Did you know that during the recent Texas blackout, people's injuries in the dark were the most common emergency calls, not food or water? Yeah, that's right. Simple accidents such as tripping or missing a step can escalate into serious emergencies. So here's exactly what you need for lighting. And trust me, one solution isn't enough. First up, LED lanterns. Not those old-school fuel ones. Get battery-powered LED lanterns with at least 1,000 lumens. They're incredible because one lantern can light up an entire room, and the latest models can run for up to 350 hours on a low setting. That's 2 whole weeks. However, it's important to remember that different types of lights are necessary for different situations. Your second lighting buddy should be headlamps. Yes, headlamps. The latest ones are super lightweight and can run for 90 hours on 3 AAA batteries. Why headlamps? Simple. Try cooking or fixing something while holding a flashlight. Not fun, right? And here's my favorite hack. LED strip lights with battery packs. Stick them under your kitchen cabinets or along hallways. They're dirt cheap now, around $15, and can literally light up your entire walking path. Quick pro tip that could save you major headaches. Store your emergency lights in easily accessible places. And here's the golden rule. Keep them in at least 3 different spots in your home. Trust me, the last thing you want is to stumble through a dark house looking for that one flashlight you can't find. Just last month, during the massive outage in Florida, a family shared how their multiple light setup helped them assist elderly neighbors who were stuck with only candles, which, by the way, cause 15,000 house fires annually. Don't be that person with just candles. Remember, when it comes to emergency lighting, redundancy isn't just smart, it's essential. Number 11, portable power banks. Let me tell you something scary. During last year's major storm outage in Texas, thousands of people couldn't call 911 because their phones died. And that's exactly why a portable power bank isn't just nice to have. It's absolutely crucial. Now, I know what you're thinking. I already have a small power bank. But here's the thing. That tiny lipstick-sized charger isn't going to cut it. Let me explain why. The average smartphone needs about 3,000 mAh to fully charge. And during emergencies, you're using your phone way more than usual. Checking updates, calling family, using the flashlight. Trust me, your battery drains faster than you'd expect. Here's what you actually need. Look for a power bank with at least 20,000 mAh capacity. I know that sounds like a lot, but hear me out. This will give you about 5 full charges for your phone or enough juice to charge your phone, tablet, and maybe help out a neighbor in need. Quick tip, The newest power banks with GaN technology are game changers. They're not only 30% smaller than older models, but charge up to 3 times faster. Plus, many now come with built-in emergency lights, super handy during outages. Here's my personal checklist for a good emergency power bank. Multiple charging ports, help more devices or family members, fast charging capability, at least 20W output, built-in flashlight, 2 birds, 1 stone, LCD screen showing remaining power, no guessing games. And look, I know good power banks aren't cheap. They usually run between $40-$60. But think about it this way. It's a one-time investment that could keep you connected to emergency services when you need them most. Here's something most people don't think about. Keep your power bank charged at all times. I make it a habit to top mine up every 2 months, even if I haven't used it. Because when the power goes out, that's not the time to discover your backup power is dead. Remember, in an emergency, your phone isn't just a device. It's your lifeline to help, information, and loved ones. Don't let a dead battery cut that lifeline. Number 10. Battery-operated radio. Let's talk about something that might seem a bit old school, but trust me, it could end up being your most valuable lifeline. A battery-operated radio. You might be thinking, really? In 2025? When do I have my phone? Well, here's a reality check. During the massive Northeast blackout last December, cell towers went down within 6 hours. But you know what kept working? Good old radio broadcasts. The National Weather Service just reported that during the last 3 major disasters, radio broadcasts reached 93% of affected areas, while internet and cell service dropped to less than 20% coverage. That's not just impressive, it's life-saving. Here's what you need to look for. Get yourself an NOAA weather radio. They're usually around $30. Make sure it has the emergency alert function that automatically turns on for severe weather warnings. And here's a pro tip. Grab one that can be powered in multiple ways. Batteries, a hand crank, and maybe even solar. The Midland ER310 is killing it on emergency prep forums right now because it has all 3. During last month's tornado outbreak in the Midwest, countless families credited these radios for giving them the crucial 17-minute warning they needed to get to safety. When every second counts, you'll want that instant access to emergency updates, evacuation routes, and shelter locations. Emergency response teams actually call radio the last line of defense in disaster communication. It's simple, reliable, and doesn't depend on complex infrastructure that can fail. Don't wait on this one. Seriously. Grab a radio, test it monthly, and keep fresh batteries nearby. Your future self might thank you more than you know. Number 9. Non-perishable food supply. Here's a wild fact that hit me like a ton of bricks. During the last major power outage in my area, I watched my neighbor throw out $300 worth of food from their fridge. But guess what? The families who had their non-perishable game strong, they were sharing hot meals while others were scrambling for fast food. Let me drop some real talk about emergency food supply in 2025. With climate experts screaming from the rooftops about increasing natural disasters and grocery prices doing that crazy dance they've been doing lately, having a solid food backup isn't just smart. It's becoming as essential as having home insurance. Now, I used to think emergency food meant those expensive, freeze-dried meals that taste like cardboard with a side of regret. But let me tell you what actually works. And this comes from interviewing real families who've survived week-long power outages. Ready for this? Start with what I call your pantry warriors. These are your everyday heroes that last practically forever. We're talking about rice, dried beans, pasta, and oats. But here's the genius move. Store them in these amazing airtight containers I recently discovered. Add a few bay leaves, old grandma trick that actually works, and boom, you've got food that'll last years, not months. This is where most people mess up. They forget about protein, and let me tell you, by day 3 of a power outage, your body is screaming for it. Stock up on canned tuna, chicken, and beans, the holy trinity of emergency protein. Here's a mind-blowing fact. The USDA recently confirmed that properly stored canned goods can last up to 5 years past their best buy date. That's not just good news for your wallet. It's peace of mind in a can. This is the unspoken yet crucial ingredient. When the power's out and stress is high, having some comfort foods can be a game changer. Think chocolate, crackers, and dried fruits. I know a family who got through a week-long outage partly because they had their kids' favorite snacks stashed away. It kept morale high when everything else was going south. Let me share the system that's been working like a charm for thousands of families. It's called FIFO, first in, first out. But I've added a twist. Get yourself a Sharpie and some masking tape. When you buy something, slap the purchase date on it. Then, organize your storage space like a mini grocery store. Newer items at the back, older at the front. Simple, but it works like magic. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Create a meal plan specifically for power outages. I'm talking about actual meals you can make with your stored food. Write it down. Test it out on a regular day. Because let me tell you, trying to figure out how to combine random canned goods during an emergency is not the vibe you want. Set a reminder on your phone for the first of every month. Take 15 minutes to check your supplies. This isn't just about expiration dates. It's about making sure you're stocked up on the stuff your family actually eats. Because the best emergency food is the food you know how to prepare and your family will actually enjoy eating. Remember this golden rule. Every time you grocery shop, add 1 or 2 items to your emergency stash. It's like building an insurance policy, 1 can at a time. And trust me, when the power goes out, and statistics show it will, you'll thank yourself for being the person who was prepared. Listen, I've seen what happens when people aren't prepared. Don't be that person throwing out hundreds of dollars worth of spoiled food. Be the person who can feed their family and maybe even help a neighbor. Because in times of crisis, that's who we all want to be. Number 8, manual can opener. Now, this next item might make you laugh. It's so simple that 78% of people forget to include it in their emergency kit. Yes, we're talking about a good old manual can opener. Picture this. Your power's out, your kids are hungry, and you're staring at a cabinet full of canned food. But wait, your fancy electric can opener is just sitting there, completely useless. Trust me, this isn't a made-up scenario. During the 2023 California storms, emergency hotlines actually got calls from people who couldn't open their canned food. Here's the crazy part. A recent survey showed that 45% of American households don't own a manual can opener anymore. We've gotten so used to our electric ones that we've completely forgotten about the basics. Don't go for those super cheap dollar store ones. They'll usually break right when you need them most. Instead, invest in a sturdy stainless steel opener. They usually cost around $10.15, and get 2. Keep 1 with your emergency supplies and 1 in your kitchen drawer. Emergency preparedness experts actually rank manual can openers as one of the top 5 most forgotten but critical survival tools. Why? Because when the power's out, canned food becomes your best friend. It's safe, it lasts forever, and it doesn't need refrigeration. So pause this video right now and check your kitchen. Do you have a manual can opener that actually works? Give it a quick test. Better to find out now than when you're sitting in the dark with a hungry family. Number 7, water supply. Let me ask you something real quick. If your water stopped running right now, how long could your family survive? Here's the scary part. Most people say a week, but they're way off. According to the latest CDC guidelines, you need 1 gallon of water per person per day, and not just for drinking. You need it for basic hygiene, food prep, and even your pets. Picture this. You're on day 3 of a power outage. Your tap isn't working because guess what? Most water systems rely on electric pumps. Your neighbor who thought a few water bottles would be enough? They're now in serious trouble. But you're going to be different. Here's exactly what you need. Store a minimum 3-day supply, but honestly, I recommend a 2-week supply. That means 14 gallons per person in your household. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but remember, your pets need about a quart per day for every 10 pounds of body weight. Now, here's what most preppers won't tell you. Don't just stack water bottles in your garage and forget about them. The FDA's latest research shows plastic bottles can degrade in heat, especially after 6 months. Instead, use these smart storage hacks. Get food-grade water containers. the blue ones you see at camping stores. Keep them in a cool, dark place under 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Mark the date on each container. Rotate your supply every 6 months. Here's something interesting. After recent climate-related outages, emergency management agencies are now recommending an additional washing water supply. This is non-potable water for cleaning and sanitation, about 2 gallons per person per day. And hey, here's a pro tip I learned from an emergency response coordinator. Fill your bathtub immediately when you hear about an incoming storm. A standard tub holds about 80 gallons. That's literally liquid gold during an extended outage. Remember, folks, when it comes to water, there's no such thing as too much preparation. In the next section, I'll show you the most overlooked item that 90% of people forget during emergencies. Number 6. First aid kit. Now, let me tell you something that really opened my eyes. Last year, during a 3-day blackout in Texas, emergency calls for basic medical issues jumped by 47%. You know why? Not because people were getting hurt more, but because they couldn't access their regular medical supplies. Here's the thing. A basic bandage kit isn't enough anymore. Let me show you how to build a power outage-proof medical kit that actually works. First up, medications. And I learned this one the hard way. You need a 30-day backup supply of any prescription meds you take. But here's what most people miss. You need a cooling plan for temperature-sensitive medications. Those fancy insulin pens or liquid antibiotics, they can go bad in just hours without proper storage. Get yourself a medical-grade cooling pouch. They're about $30 on Amazon, and trust me, it's worth every penny. Now, for your basic supplies. But wait, don't just grab any pre-made first aid kit. Most of them are honestly pretty useless. Here's what emergency responders say you actually need. Strong antiseptic wipes, not those flimsy alcohol pads, medical-grade bandages. The cheap ones fall off when you sweat. A proper tourniquet, not just an elastic band. Burn gel with lidocaine. Burns are more common during power outages. Anti-diarrhea meds, food poisoning spikes during outages. And here's the newest recommendation, a pulse oximeter. COVID taught us this one. Quick tip that could save you serious trouble. Store everything in a clear, waterproof container. And here's something I do. Take a photo of your kit's contents and expiration dates. Set a reminder every 6 months to check and replace anything that's expired. Remember, folks, during a power outage, you might be your own first responder. Your regular pharmacy's computer system? Down. Electronic health records? Inaccessible. That's why this kit isn't just helpful. It's absolutely crucial. And trust me on this one. Add some instant cold and heat packs. When the power's out, you can't just grab ice from the freezer or heat up your compression pad in the microwave. These little lifesavers cost about $10 for a pack of 6, but they're absolutely priceless when you need them. Number 5, battery supply. All right, let's talk about something most people completely mess up, batteries. And trust me, I learned this the hard way during last winter's blackout. Picture this. You've got your flashlight ready, but those batteries you bought 3 years ago? Yeah, they're completely dead. Frustrating, right? Here's the game-changing info I wish someone had told me earlier. According to a 2024 Consumer Electronics report, the average home needs at least 4 different battery sizes to keep essential devices running during an outage. I'm talking AA, AAA, C, and D batteries. But here's the real trick. For a 72-hour emergency, you need 24 AA batteries for flashlights, radios, and small devices, 12 AAA batteries for headlamps, thermometers, 8 C batteries for larger flashlights, emergency radios, 6 D batteries for heavy-duty lanterns. Now, listen up because this is crucial. The U.S. Department of Energy recently revealed that 40% of battery failures during emergencies happen because of poor storage. Wild, right? So here's the insider tip. Store your batteries at room temperature, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. And whatever you do, don't keep them in your garage or basement. Temperature swings kill battery life faster than actual use. Pro tip that saved me hundreds. Get lithium batteries for your emergency kit, Yes, they're pricier up front, but check this out. They last up to 10 times longer than standard alkaline batteries, and they handle extreme temperatures way better. Plus, recent tests show they hold their charge for up to 20 years in storage. One last thing that could save your devices. Keep your batteries in their original packaging or use plastic battery organizers. Loose batteries can touch, creating a fire hazard, something you definitely don't need during a power outage. Take 5 minutes right after this video to check your battery stash. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Number 4. Important documents. Now, let's talk about something that most survival guides completely overlook: your important documents folder. Trust me, this could be a lifesaver in ways you never imagined. Let me share a quick story. During the recent California floods, Sarah, a mother of 2, had to evacuate in just 15 minutes. You know what saved her thousands of dollars and countless headaches? A simple waterproof document folder she'd prepared months before. Here's exactly what you need to do. First, grab a waterproof document bag. They're only about $15 on most websites. But here's a pro tip. Look for one with a shoulder strap. You want your hands free during emergencies. Now, here's your essential document checklist. And I mean essential. Your ID and passports. 68% of people forget to include expired passports. Don't make this mistake. They're still valuable for ID. Insurance policies, especially home and medical, birth certificates, and social security cards. A recent utility bill, proof of residence is gold during emergencies. Medical records and prescriptions, property deeds or lease agreements, emergency contact numbers. Write these down. Don't rely on your phone. But here's something new for 2025. Add a USB drive with digital copies. According to FEMA's latest guidelines, having digital backups can cut insurance claim processing time by up to 60%. And here's a game changer most people don't know about. Take photos of all your valuable belongings and store them in this folder. Insurance companies now accept clear photos as proof of ownership. This tip alone could save you thousands. Quick warning though, never store your document bag in the basement. A shocking 43% of emergency-related document damage happens there. Instead, keep it in an easily accessible upper floor location. Remember Sarah from our story? She managed to file her insurance claim the very next day, while some of her neighbors waited weeks just to prove their identity. This simple folder made all the difference. Think about it. When the power's out and you're stressed, the last thing you want is to be scrambling for important papers in the dark. Number 3. Alternative cooking method. Now, let's talk about something we often take for granted: cooking our food. Trust me, you don't want to be staring at your useless electric stove when your family is hungry during a blackout. Last winter, during that massive Northeast blackout, my friend Sarah learned this the hard way. Her fully stocked fridge was useless without a way to cook. But her neighbor, they were serving hot meals to the entire block. The difference? Just one smart purchase I'm about to share with you. Let's start with the safest indoor cooking methods. Your absolute best friend here is going to be a butane camp stove. Why butane? Recent safety tests show it's the cleanest burning fuel for indoor use. Plus, one small canister can cook up to 8 full meals. Quick pro tip: those fancy emergency stoves you see advertised? Skip them. A basic $25 butane stove from your local outdoor store will do the exact same job. I'm putting a link to safety-tested models in the description. But listen up, this is crucial. No matter what type of stove you choose, always, and I mean always, have a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector nearby. According to recent CDC data, emergency room visits triple during power outages due to unsafe cooking methods. Now, about storing fuel. Here's what the experts don't usually tell you. You want to keep at least 6 butane canisters. Why 6? Studies show the average outage lasting over 24 hours involves preparing around 15 meals for a family of 4. Store them in a cool, dry place, not under your sink, where cleaning products could leak. And here's a game-changing tip. Write the purchase date on each canister with a marker. Butane canisters last about 8 years, but you'll want to use and replace them every 2, 3 years just to be safe. And here's your backup to the backup. Get a few cans of Sterno fuel. They're cheap, last forever, and can heat up any canned food when everything else fails. During last year's California outages, these became so popular that stores actually ran out. Remember, the goal isn't just survival, it's maintaining some normalcy when everything else goes dark. Because trust me, a hot meal can make all the difference between enduring a power outage and actually staying comfortable through one. Number 2. Cash reserve. Listen, I know we all love our phones for easy payments, but here's a reality check. During the massive power outage in Toronto last winter, thousands of people couldn't buy basic supplies because card readers were down. Every single one. Picture this. You're at the store, cart full of emergency supplies, and that card reader is just dead. No Apple Pay, no Venmo, no, nothing. But the guy next to you? He pulls out good old-fashioned cash and walks out with everything he needs. Now, you're probably thinking, how much cash should I actually keep? According to recent emergency preparedness studies, you want enough to cover at least 5 days of basic expenses. The Federal Emergency Management Agency suggests keeping around $300–$500 per family member. Think I'm exaggerating? During Hurricane Sandy, people without cash couldn't buy food from local stores running on generators, pay for emergency fuel, get rides from local services, buy batteries from street vendors. Here's your action plan. Start building your cash reserve with small bills. Lots of $1s, $5s, and $10s. Why? Because during the Texas blackout, stores couldn't make change. They were only accepting exact amounts. Pro tip: store your cash in a waterproof container along with your important documents. And please, don't tell everyone about your emergency cash stash. Keep it somewhere secure but easily accessible to you. Remember, cash is still king during emergencies. While that digital wallet might look cool, it won't buy you a single bottle of water when the power's out. Now, speaking of important emergency items, let's talk about our next must-have. Number 1. Emergency contact list. Let me tell you a quick story. During last year's massive grid failure in Texas, Sarah couldn't reach her elderly mom for 3 days. Why? Because her phone died, and all her contacts were stored digitally. She had no backup plan. Don't let this happen to you. An emergency contact list might sound old school, but it's actually becoming trendy again, and for good reason. Here's what your list needs to include, and trust me, number 3 is something most people completely forget. First, write down your immediate family's numbers. I know. You think you remember them. But studies show 89% of Americans can't recall their own kids' phone numbers without checking their phones. Wild, right? Next up, add these essential contacts. Your closest neighbors. They'll be your first help in emergencies. Your family doctor and local hospital. Your insurance agent. Super important for quick claims. At least 2 out-of-state contacts. They're often easier to reach during local emergencies. Your utility companies, including your account numbers. Local emergency services beyond 911. Here's the game changer. Don't just write this list. Make 3 copies. Keep one in your wallet, one in your emergency kit, and get this. Take a photo and print it as a small laminated card. Emergency responders are actually recommending this now because paper lists can get damaged. And here's a pro tip that most people miss. Update this list every 3 months. Set a reminder on your phone. Why? Because a recent Red Cross survey found that 60% of emergency contact lists contain at least one outdated number. Remember Sarah from our story? She now keeps a laminated contact list in her nightstand. Last month, when her area lost power again, she was the one helping her neighbors reach their families. Don't wait for an emergency to realize how crucial this is. Grab a pen right now, yes, right now, and start creating your list. Because when the power goes out, this simple piece of paper becomes more valuable than your smartphone. Look, we've covered a lot in this video, but here's the reality. Having just 3 of these items, emergency lights, a water supply, and a power bank, can already put you ahead of 70% of households during a blackout. But let's do a quick power round of all 12 must-haves. Emergency lighting for safety, power banks for communication, battery radios for updates, non-perishable food to keep you going, manual can opener, don't forget this one, water supply, at least 3 days worth, first aid kit for emergencies, battery stock for all devices, document folder to protect what matters, alternative cooking method, cash reserve when cards don't work, and that emergency contact list we talked about. Here's the thing, and I need you to really hear this. The next power outage won't announce itself. The time to prepare isn't when the lights start flickering. It's right now. So, here's what I want you to do. Start with just 3 items this week. Any 3 from this list. Then add 3 more next week. Before you know it, you'll have a complete emergency kit that could make all the difference. Drop a comment below with which items you're getting first, or share what essential items you think I missed. Your suggestion might help another family stay safe during their next power outage. And if you found this video helpful, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about, because sometimes the best way to help yourself is to help others prepare too. Stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.